So what baggage am I carrying which is causing me to be dysfunctional? First things first, I'm kind of like a pictorial person. So looking at the poster first of all, so we have a couple there who are obviously holding bags, and the bags can be seen as metaphors essentially for the different issues that people experience through life, not necessarily issues that are faced when you are in a relationship, but even before then. And I feel like in general, people don't really focus on the fact that their life experiences prior to them giving themselves to an individual or putting themselves into relationships, and it's not necessarily romantic relationships. We're talking about family relationships, how you bond with everybody, friendships. They are affected by the experiences that we have sometimes in life. And they can either be positively or negatively experienced. So, with the question that Sister Tani just asked concerning whether baggages can necessarily lead to complete dysfunctionality, whereby it's not helpful, that's not true. Because sometimes, let's say, I'm going to give a couple of case studies. For example, let's say somebody has experienced sexual harassment or rape. How they are in relationships sometimes can be that they're so giving because they want to be accepted. That's sometimes how it can manifest. And it's up to their partner now to try and alleviate that situation and to try to I don't want to say put up with, but sometimes it can be, it's not necessarily baggage for that person who's experiencing it, but for the next person who they're in a relationship with, because they're now having to see, okay, how do I help my partner to deal with the situations that they've gone through? And sometimes it's a thing whereby the victim themselves don't realize that they're having those issues. And I feel like an essential step of this is actually identifying that you have baggage in the first place. A lot of us can be very much in denial to say that when I was a child, for example, what I experienced with, let's say, my relationship with my mom or my dad, let's say when they used to shout at me, when they used to talk to me derogatively, it didn't affect me. But then again, now you're an adult and you've got your own kids. And funnily enough, your relationship with your own children is almost somewhat similar to the relationship that you had with your own parents. So I do feel like having a massive sense of self-awareness is one of the first steps to realizing the baggage you have and beginning the journey to actually heal yourself so that you can heal the relationships that you have. Or if anything, what I would suggest is it's sometimes a lot better, in fact, to focusing on the aspect of romantic relationships. I think it's always better to identify and start dealing with that prior to you going into a relationship, because you never know how that's going to manifest. It can either be positive or it can be negative, and I feel like that has a massive part of that has got to do with whether the individual is as supportive as you would like them to be or as they can be. And it's not always necessarily the fact that whichever partner you choose is willing to do that. We need to realize that sometimes when you put yourself into a relationship and you've got all of these issues to deal with, you're actually creating work for the other person. And knowing whether they're going to accept that work or not is kind of going into the unknown. And I feel like that picture also links to that. The fact that the couple are holding hands, they're holding bags, but ahead of them is just darkness. That's the sense of you don't know where you're going, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know where you're going to end up. So let's start by identifying what we have wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with having something wrong with you. If anything, that makes you human. But it's beginning that path to actually understanding what's wrong with you and what you haven't dealt with, so that that path becomes clearer, it becomes brighter, it's no longer dark. And when you do finally have your partner, you might find that you might even distribute items within your bag. You might even shed some of them to the point whereby you no longer need a bag. And that makes holding hands a lot more easier. Just imagine, for example, you're going in the tube or the train station and you're holding hands with your partner while both of you are holding bags. Eventually, you're going to have to drop hands because both of you can't fit through the actual escalator while holding hands with there's a small volume, but both of you are, and including the bags, it's such a large capacity that it just can't fit. So we need to think about that. But yeah, that's all the input that I had to say. I hope that made sense.
Thank you so much, Samantha. We are walking two people on a journey. We don't journey alone in life. Let's think about the people we go on this journey of life with. I hope this is really nudging our taste buds, whetting our appetite to just introspect, look me in the mirror, sit me down. And I think if I just want to sharpen a little bit of the perspective you brought there about what's wrong with me. I was just looking at this scripture in terms of reading from the Message version, and I'll just bring what it says. I just loved the way it's put in Hebrews 12 verses 1-3. So bear with us if you're not a Christian. Just hold that thought and just allow me to just read this a brief portion of scripture. Discipline in a long distance race. Life is a journey, and we're walking into pretty much the unknown. Who knows the purposes and the plans he has for us is God. He says, I alone know. So we are walking, we are journeying. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but we need to anchor in something. There is a confidence that tells us tomorrow, I just expect to wake up, so I make plans, I decide, and we journey with those that we love around us, whether it's your spouse, it's your children, it's your friends, it's your business partners, work colleagues, a faith group, colleague or church group leader or church group buddy. We walk with other people. Life is not done alone. No man is an island. We don't live in a vacuum. We live in community with others. So this is what the verse says. Do you see what this means? All these pioneers who blazed the way, all these veterans cheering us on. It means we'd better get on with it. Strip down, start running, and never quit. No extra spiritual fat, no parasitic sins. Keep your eyes on Jesus, who both began and finished this race we're in. Study how he did it, because he never lost sight of where he was headed. That exhilarating finish in and with God. He could put up with anything along the way, cross, shame, whatever. And now he's there in the place of honor, right alongside God. When you find yourself flagging in your faith, go over that story again, item by item. That long litany of hostility he plowed through, that will shoot adrenaline into your souls. So since we are surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses, Hebrews 11 was talking about a people of faith, some who died not even having seen or experienced the things they were believing for. And he says, look at this vast cloud of witness. So because of them, when we look at their example, we can run on ahead. Who is that person who inspires you? That's why I said, don't just look at your own baggage. Look at the other people around you. What baggage are they carrying? It helps us not to live selfless lives, but it also helps us to have those role models in sight, always in front of us. So I love what one commentary said about that. And they said, probably in the mind of this writer of this piece of scripture, portion of scripture, they've been seeing these these witnesses, those people of faith, those champions of faith, maybe they could be looking from somewhere, wherever they are, and just looking at that picture, cheering us on and saying, press on, you can do this, you're going to overcome. And I thought that was just a beautiful picture. Who is that person who you valued so much in your life? What could they be saying to you right now about what's in your bag, about what's in my bag? How would they be cheering me on?